rise again to glory then, soar into the sky. If you stop and see, then you just might believe. We're unstoppable, powerful, enough to beat the odds. If you love me, you will see the flames inside of me.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Seduce the Demon War. Just continuing off from the last episode, we're gonna train with Faye, and I'm excited because Faye's cool. Faye's transgender? Is that what it's called? I don't really know. I think so. I don't know. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry. I don't know a lot about that stuff. I reported to a large grand hall. Apparently it was strictly to be used for Set on Diana, but since training me for defense became a priority, I was given the room along with my trainer and choice, Faye. There we go. I didn't know what made me choose Faye. They were indeed a wildcard choice. Who knew what I would learn from them? They were obviously a fairy, but what kind of abilities did fairies have in this world? I could tell that they were nothing like fairies in fantasy fairy tales. Oh my goodness, so many fairies. So the idea of learning about them became a tantalizing curiosity within me. Hey Faye! I'm excited. As I arrived, I saw Faye flitter about the room, wowed at the space they were given to train me.
Whoa! This room is so huge! How the heck did we get this room? When did the castle even have this room? Holy crap!
1 second, I'm gonna need to take an Advil since I'm gonna be training with this thing. Advil taken, I should be good. I giggled and stepped in, watching as the fairy flew to and fro from one side of the room to the other in excitement. Hopefully they wouldn't be too distracted by the size of the room to train me. Hey, Faye. Faye at last turned to me with a large grin and flew close to me, placing their hands behind their back.
Hiya! You ready to learn some cool tricks from a cool demon like me?
Heck yeah, I am! I smiled. I had picked a good trainer. Nodding, I pressed my hands on my hips. Absolutely, I'm ready. Faye grinned before floating over to the far end of the room, cupping their hands together and calling out to me.
Come over here!
Coming. I tilted my head, confused a bit, but shrugged and ran forward, eventually stopping at Faye's side. They clapped in applause, which made me a bit more confused, but I bowed to them, amused.
Alrighty! Now, race it to the other side!
What the hell are we doing? Wait, what? Before I could question Faye, they reeled back and zipped across the room towards the far wall. I rushed behind, trying to catch up, but didn't make it in time to beat Faye from touching the wall.
I win!
Because you didn't warn me this was going to be a race. Faye looked at me confused before rubbing their head.
This is training! Aren't I supposed to teach you how to be fast and dodgy and stuff?
I suddenly realized what I'd gotten myself into. Faye had no idea what they were doing. Who are you? Oh my god. Who are you, sir, with the scar? A figure who was standing in the corner watching the whole event stepped out of the shadows, slightly surprised me as he walked up to Faye.
Boss, I think you should be teaching the human how to defend herself. Just saying.
No. Boss. I'll give you enough you can't refuse. Sorry, I can't. This voice. So Boston. Faye turned around and flailed her arms at the figure.
Terminus! Don't tell me what to do! I can do this!
Don't worry, Faye can do this, Terminus. Terminus let out a start with an amused smirk, crossing his arms at the apparent boss and shrugged.
Alright, whatever you say. I was making a suggestion.
Making a suggestion, man. Your cat keys. Where your cat keys? Sorry. I can't. Faye puffed out their cheeks see, I can't even say the name anymore. Entermus? I don't know. Before turning back to me, I became concerned. Would I be able to learn anything from Faye other than racing? Kid, I'm dodge. Stay and try. I took a moment to take a deep breath and let it out. Who knew what Faye had in store? Maybe they teach me how to grow wings or become small. Their abilities could be pretty useful, especially with the wings. Faye pressed a finger to their chin before suddenly getting an idea.
I know! I can teach you a really cool attack!
Yeah. I suddenly became excited. An attack? I knew the training was meant for my self-defense, but having an offensive attack would prove that'd be very useful in a war I was essentially about to jump into. Faye grinned at me before turning to the open space and holding their hands out, closing their eyes and focusing their energy. I watched as a green orb slowly appeared before their palms, growing in size until it became the size of a baseball. Faye opened their eyes and gripped it with both hands, looking at me with a grin.
This is called the thorn bush.
Oh dear. Thorn bush? Faye nodded ecstatically before arching their hand back behind their head and chucking the orb forward into space. Into space. Goodbye! Into the space. As it impacted the ground, the orb popped like a bubble and released a cloud of green gas that covered a large portion of the floor. The gas quickly began to materialize into a web of thorny branches, stretching out over the floor and stopping just before where Faye and I stood. The branches continued to sway in the air, as if they were alive. Whoa. I was absolutely astonished. This seemed like a really cool trap, but was it effective? I turned my gaze to Faye to see them look at Intermus with a smug expression.
Hey, Eternimus!
Eternimus, okay, thank you.
Walk through it.
Eternimus. Gotta remember that. With an amused grin and a roll of his eyes, Eternimus summoned his spear and walked forward into the area where the bush had made claim. I watched in curiosity, wondering what the thorn bush would do. I gasped at the branches as the branches close to Eternimus began to lash out and strike at him, only to be blocked and cut down by a spear. With a concentrated expression, Eternimus began to cut through the bush, driving it back slowly but surely. While I understood that he knew about how to deflect Faye's trap, it was an interesting spell nonetheless, and if anything, it was able to slow down enemies and attack them as I went on. A good distraction. As Eternimus reached the center, he rammed his spear into the spot where the bush sprouted from, causing the branches around him to wither and die, fading into air like they were never there. Wow, that was pretty cool. Whoops. Pretty cool. I had to admit, it looked really cool, even to the end. It was very effective, and I was going to learn it. Go me. Faye turned and smiled at me, bobbing a bit in the air in excitement.
Isn't it? It's one of my favorite trap spells. What's even cooler is that if you throw it at a person, they'll be covered in thorns and won't be able to fight back.
You are a little sadistic in your own way, aren't you, Faye? That was a game changer. I stared at Faye, shocked. It really could do stuff like that? Then again, there wasn't really a good way to test it because none of us wanted to be on the receiving end of that spell, and there were no training dummies in the room. I had to take the word for it. Faye grinned before crossing their legs and sitting on the air, pondering.
What else to show you?
Eternimus looked over and shook his head, walking back to his corner.
Let the human try what you just did first before showing us something new.
Thank you. So, who's the voice actor of this guy? I love him.
All right.
Faye looked over at me and waved her hand out into the room, gesturing me to do what they did. It was mildly adorable to see them do that, but I shook my thoughts out and focused on trying to replicate what Faye did. I looked at my hands, trying to focus on forming the green orb in my hands. I began to imagine it, hoping it would spark my energy to perform that spell, but I found that my imagination wouldn't work, or at least wasn't enough. I glared at the back of my hands, trying to figure it out. Faye floated beside me and looked at my hands as well, tapping their chin.
Maybe if you squint really hard or something.
Maybe squint really, really hard, you can do it. Faye. I turned my head to Faye, not wanting to be a bad student, but needing the teacher to actually teach me. Faye floated back a bit, placing their hands in front of them by their chest.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's like,
Like what?
Well, I mean, you're a human, and I don't exactly know if you have magic and stuff, like,
Oh, Faye, don't try too hard. Faye wiggled their arms beside me, flailing a bit before flying around me and scratching their head.
Root demons have, like, rage energy to battle, and then Diana has her ooh-la-la kind of sexual energy or whatever to power her powers. But for me, it just comes naturally, you know? I just think about it, and poof, it happens! But I'm a demon, so it's supposed to happen.
I was just kind of holding my head in despair right there. I nodded, understanding what they meant, but I pressed forward, knowing humans could perform magic if they wanted to. We had energy too, after all. Well, can you show me to do it again, or maybe do it with me or something? Faye tapped their chin, listening to me before nodding and turning to the side. They pointed their hands out and focused their fingers, which caused me to turn and do the same. I stared as Faye took a breath and mimicked them perfectly. I was going to do this one way or another. I looked to my hands and tried to focus to focus one more time. I tried to imagine my energy flowing into my hands and forming the green orb, hoping it would spur the action to happen. Come on. Finally, something in my mind clicked. I closed my eyes and focused on my breathing, feeling the air flow through my body. I began to mentally score my body, taking note of the inhales and exhales I released before figuring it out. I concentrated on that air in my body, imagining it to be like energy. I imagined myself to have. Like that, I felt a very faint wave pulse through my body, confirming that I indeed had the energy to use a lot of it. I smiled and looked at my hands again, knowing and feeling the energy within me, before committing to call it forward into a green orb. Obediently, my energy began to flow into my hands, making them blow lightly before forming an orb just in front of my palms. It began to pulse and grow in size, making Faye look over and gasp.
Holy crap, you're doing it! You're doing it!
Don't distract me! I grinned from ear to ear as I continued to focus on the orb. Once it became the size of both my hands, I grasped onto it and pulled it over my head before checking it into the empty room. Just like Faye's orb, mine popped once it crashed into the floor and formed a large string and lines of thorny branches, waving creepily in the air and releasing a threatening appearance. I couldn't have been prouder of myself. Faye zipped through the air happily, punching their fists into the air.
Yeah! You did it!
I couldn't help but jump a bit as well. It was tough, but I had managed to pull it off. I felt a slight tingle in my hands and arms from using energy, but I didn't mind. Faye finally floated over to me and grabbed my hands, shaking them in joy.
We're gonna have so much fun training!
I guess I don't have to ask if everything is okay in here.
Faye and I turned our heads to see Diana leaning against the doorway with a small smirk. I smiled a bit and nodded, looking to the magic I'd performed that was still wiggling in the center of the room. Faye released my hands and flew over to Diana, grabbing the succubus hands and pulling her into the room.
Whoa!
Look! Isn't it so impressive? It's the second best spell I know and she mastered it!
Wait, what? I stared at Faye in shock. This was their second best spell? They really trusted me to learn it, and it was the second best? What was the first? What was the last? Diana observed the branch monster I had essentially summoned and nodded with a chuckle.
I told you, she's a powerhouse of energy. I'm not surprised that she could pull this off.
I felt a bit flattered that Diana believed in me, but Faye flew around Diana and flicked the succubus hair, making Diana jump a bit and glare at the flying demon.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me that she was awesome!
I love Faye, she's so supportive. She, I don't know. Diana chuckled a bit before letting out a sigh with a shake of her head.
I'll leave you be then. Have fun, dears.
Oh, thanks, Diana. She's like a mom. Faye was grinning from ear to ear as Diana turned on her heel and walked away. As soon as she left the room, Faye spun around me and lifted themselves higher into the air.
Alrighty, let's make you the master of the thorn bush.
I laughed and felt excitement rush through my veins. This was going to be fun. We spent the entire day focusing on how to make the spell happen quicker, faster, and become more naturally to me. I left exhausted but thrilled as to what I was now able to do. Whew, goodness. I fell onto my bed exhausted. My body felt completely at mercy of the fluffy mattress beneath me. Today was rough. There we go. Luckily, Luckily, before I came back to the room, I had been shown bathrooms where I could relieve myself and bathe properly. At least hygiene wouldn't be an issue. I had bathed in crystal clear water before returning to my room and flopping onto the bed like a bum. I heard the doors open and close, followed by soft patters of labored footsteps walking around the bed and stopping at the other side. I knew it was Erik, but I turned my head to verify my guess. I was correct. However, I felt my face flush at the sight. Erik was shirtless, when is he not? And his skin was beautifully covered in water droplets. His hair was damp and his breathing was labored. He must have trained hard, if not harder than me at least, and bathed right afterwards. Hi.
Good evening, love.
How can anybody take hi? Seriously, I mean. Oh. I could tell that he wanted to flop onto the bed and simply pass out, but something held him back. I tilted my head at him, making Erik smile.
I'm going over what happened today.
What happened today? And?
Do you feel disgusted by me?
No! I feel disgusted by Dame is what I feel disgusted by. I kept my eyes on Erik, letting my mind wander a bit over him. I still loved him and didn't feel the need to yell at him or push him away. I had to assume the spirit was still resting from Seto's attack. Nope. Erik nodded before climbing into bed and leaning back against the bedpost. I didn't open my guide. I didn't open my guide. I had my guide open, but then I stopped recording, and then I went to record, and then, oh, everything went into shambles. Everything went into shambles. There we go. Community guides. Give me this. Give me this now. Is this what I want? That's actually not what I want. Cuddle with him. I'm gonna cuddle with him. I sidled close to him and placed my head on his shoulder. Erik smiled and wrapped an arm around me, holding me close. Oh.
It's been a long while since I've trained like that.
Yeah? Use muscles you never have before? Since Malix, right? Erik nodded with a smile at me. I remembered Malix, that damnable monster. He had wanted to kill the boys and even kidnapped me as bait. Luckily, he didn't last long. That is so true. He did not last long. During the time he was around, though, Erik had trained hard and done the best he could. I was kind of proud to see him going at it again. I yawned and got ready for bed. There was no use in prolonging sleep. But sex? Oh. The darkness welcomed me into an embrace as Erik wrapped his arms around me protectively. God darn it! Screw you! For giving me a scare bear. Damn you for giving me a scare bear! Huh? The cries of the spirit vibrated through my mind. I knew... Help. I knew Erik would take a bit to enter my dreams, but I could only look around as the sound of the spirit whimpering echoed around me in the dark. Hello?
Go away.
What's wrong? Finally, the orb appeared. It wasn't bobbing up and down in the air like it usually had before. It was lying on the ground like a ball. I walked over and crouched before sitting down in front of it. The sound of its whimpers made my heart hurt. Did Seto's attack really hurt it that badly? Even more than that, it was apparently a child. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're not.
I winced a bit at its words. I was trying to be sincere, but I had to assume the spirit was too hurt to care.
Why did you do that?
He did it. We just wanted to try and get you out of my body.
Why did you hurt me?
Every word the spirit spoke felt like a knife through my heart. I didn't mean to hurt it, but we had to try. I was certain the intention of the attack was to expel the spirit, not to hurt
You're
it.
just like him.
Ouch! Wait, what? Like him? You mean Erik?
No. The evil man.
Okay, then ouch. Evil man? I stared as the spirit gently lifted itself off the ground and began to slowly bob up and down in front of
The
me.
evil man that killed me.
Dun dun dun! Oh, for the love of... Can you people not do a proper evil laugh? It's... There we go. My body froze. I suddenly heard the Demon Lord's laughter all around me. The voice bounced through the air, sending wave upon wave of fear through my body, in an endless cycle. However, the spirit didn't react. Was the spirit causing the voice? The spirit lowered itself back down to the ground and lay still, the purple aura around it still rippling around
You're
it.
gonna hurt me again.
I won't. I didn't want it to be hurt. Expelling it was one thing, causing it pain was another. There had to be some way to force it out without hurting it any more than we already did. Oh, Erik, hi, how you doing? Welcome to my dream, come on in. I felt a hand suddenly place itself on my shoulder and the Demon Lord's voice faded into silence. I quickly turned to see Erik looking around me with a concerned expression.
Are you all right?
Yes. Yeah?
The icky man is back.
Oh, come on. Erik ignored the spirit and gently turned my body to face him.
Don't listen to whatever that spirit says. We'll expel it soon enough.
You don't care about her. You just care about babies.
Babies? Ew. Oh, dear God. Oh. Oh, God. Kaneki, get out of here. What are you doing? No. Tentacles. I stared as instinctively Erik summoned his tendrils. Tentacle porn. Ready to attack, but his expression melted into concern. Oh, that's a look of concern. Okay. Something was holding him back, and it made me a bit worried. Was the spirit telling the truth? The spirit simply faded into the dark without continuing the conflict, leaving us alone. Erik?
Yes, my princess?
Can you put those away? I'm kind of nervous. I am curious. I had to know. He reacted so violently towards the spirit at the mention of children. I personally don't like children. Eric's face, however, contorted from the concern. It melted into a look of confusion.
Where is this coming from?
Where do you think he's coming from?
I just want to know. Eric sighed and nodded, making a small lump in my stomach, not his, harden. You really wanted me to be pregnant, you son of a bitch. Before I could speak, though, Eric raised his head with a kind of soft smile.
I would be happy to have you bear my children and for you to be a wonderful mother. But not unless you want to. You would be the one bearing the burden the longest.
True that. My heart skipped a beat multiple beats, goodness. I was shocked at his words. Erik continued.
In the demon world, it is a regular occurrence for incubi and succubi to breed as often as possible. It's only natural that I'd want children, princess. However, you are a human, and even more so, you are the one I love. I obey your every command.
Before my eyes, Erik slowly wrapped his tentacles around me, wrapped his arms around my form and kissed my forehead. The warmth of his embrace made my entire body melt, and I wrapped my arms around him in return.
We're not even married yet. We can probably wait until after we say our vows before we think about children.
Are you sure? But, no, whatever. A small laugh erupted from me as I nuzzled Eric's chest. He was right. We didn't have to think about it now. I shouldn't have let the idea get to me. Right, I nodded in reply, just wanting to completely immerse myself in Eric's arms. Then I passed by and morning rose. To my surprise, I woke up alone. God damn it. I scanned the room for Erik, but found myself in the room by myself. Erik.
He left to go train with his brother, sweetie.
Bitch, get out of here! You ain't Diana. Get out of here. Oh, she called me sweetie! That's so cute. Oh, I love you. I feel a little weird, but I like it still. I turned my head to the sound of Diana's voice. The door was open with Diana standing in the archway holding a tray of pancakes. My stomach growled at the sight, but something in my heart felt giddy as well as at seeing Diana with food.
Here, something warm today.
Giggity. Thank you. Diana passed me the plate as I began to eat. I knew that I had to work hard myself today, so I needed all the energy I could get. Diana, however, watched me as I ate. As her gaze got the better of my nerves, I looked at her with a confused look. What?
Do you know the child that's in your body?
No. I shook my head, making Diana press her lips together into an irritated line. How can a lion look irritated? Sorry. I felt a little bad that I couldn't be of more help, but the spirit didn't have a name, at least not one I knew of. Diana shook her head and leaned against the wall, crossing her arms and legs.
Well, we'll be able to expel it soon enough. I have Shadow in charge of figuring out how to sever the ties that spirit has on your body and forcing it free.
Giddy. My mind instantly froze. A memory brought up images of the crying spirit and the tears it wept. Okay. And I had, as I had entered my dreams, would this new method hurt the spirit? Dan stared in shock at my question.
You're concerned for the spirit's safety over your own.
Shut up! I'm a caring person, damn it! We really heard it last time. It was crying. Dana clicked her teeth and shook her head.
That spirit is clinging to you and using its emotions to make you feel sorry for it. It wants you to love it, so you will let it stay in your body.
Shh. Was that really the case? A child who was hurt cries mostly when they are seriously hurting, but what if Diana was right? What if it was trying to manipulate me? There were too many questions in my head. I shook out my thoughts and continued to eat, finishing the pancakes. Diana pushed herself off the wall and began to leave the room, but stopped to look back at me with a concerned face.
Does the spirit ever enter your dreams?
Yes, it does! Yes! Diana stared at me for a moment, most likely trying to form her thoughts into words before speaking. When she did, I couldn't stop myself from going wide-eyed.
You know, there is a way we can stop the spirit from communicating with you until we can expel it.
I stared in shock. Why wasn't this brought up before? Dana grimaced at my expression inside.
The spirit is a child, and is most likely repulsed by romance and sex. Am I correct?
I guess. Yeah, but what does that have to do with stopping it?
The spirit is feeding on and using your energy. The only way to stop it is to drain yourself of energy.
She wasn't serious, was she? She expected me to give Erik all my energy all of the time? What about my training? Diana turned fully to me and crossed her arms.
Essentially, after training, give your remaining energy to your fiancé. Kiss, hug, fuck, it doesn't matter. As long as your energy is completely drained. You'll sleep, and because you'll have no energy, the spirit won't be able to appear in your dreams. You'll have an empty sleep.
It made sense, but at the same time I felt a little out of place. Erik needed my energy to survive, yes, but to give him all of my energy? Part of me felt a little excited to do it, while the other side of me felt that it was completely wrong to give energy for that reason. Dana shrugged, breaking my thoughts and making me give my full attention once again.
It's up to you. We should have the means to expel the spirit in a day or two.
Fucking for 2 days straight? I don't mind that at all. Thank you. I was curious, however, why Diana was interested in helping me. She was already doing so much for me and the others by helping me get back to my human world. That's my world now. To the human world. Before Diana could turn to leave, I stood up from the bed. Diana, why are you helping with this anyway? Diana's gaze burned into mine as her expression softened. Something in her eyes showed a form of weakness, almost reflecting the eyes of an innocent child. What the?
You may not believe it, but I do actually enjoy aiding people. When I can, at least.
There's so much we didn't know about you. I could only stare at Diana in surprise. I could tell she was being genuine just from the sound of her voice. And the look in her eyes made me feel somehow like crying. For some reason, I found myself dropping an empty plate on the floor and rushing to Diana, hugging her tightly. Hey girl, what's up? I wanted to do this the entire time. Diana tensed within my arms and stared wide-eyed at me. I couldn't stop myself from hugging her body.
What the?
Hi! I'm not attacking you, calm down. I wasn't in control of myself. What was going on?
Help me.
Dear, what are you?
I don't know!
I didn't speak. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Was the spirit in control again? Diana finally relaxed in my arms and wrapped her arms around my form, petting over my hair gently.
How pitiful.
Very pitiful, thanks. With each stroke, I felt anxiety wane and clear from my body. From where they came, I would never know, but I couldn't do anything but allow it to pass. Diana seemed to be in some sort of comfort from the spirit.
However you got into this body, we will free you, child.
I felt myself nod. However, I couldn't stop myself from feeling a strong energy pull from my body. Was Diana draining my energy? Oh, go ahead and take it. She was taking my energy so that the spirit couldn't control me. I had to let her do it. As my body became weaker and weaker, the control of my body became more and more obtainable. Finally, my body felt light, but I found function in my nerves and limbs to function of my own collation.
Are you yourself again?
Yes. Yes. Diana nodded before releasing me and looking down at me. To my surprise, her eyes were glowing a bright gold. Oh god. Bright gold, probably from the energy she had taken from me. However, it had to be done for me to regain my body. Diana's eyes returned to their normal red color as she smiled.
For now, rest of it. You'll be able to regain some energy and be able to train as if nothing had happened. As long as you're not brimming with it, the spirit shouldn't be able to take control of you again.
I nodded in reply, finding myself step back and slip back onto the bed behind me. I held my head, feeling slightly dizzy from the experience. The door opened and closed as I assumed that Diana had left the room. My heart felt at peace for some reason, even feeling as weak as I did. Was the spirit appeased with Diana's intervention? I could only see why it would have been.
She's very special. That's why.
The echo of the spirit's voice reverberated through my mind. But as I waited for it to explain, no further response came. Let out a sigh. The spirit was gone for now, and I had full control. For now, rest until training. I'm gonna end it here! I'll see you guys in the next episode with this fun music. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.